little bit about last night because I had a definite chance I finished fourth in the 555, and I certainly had like some better routes. I could have. I think that I really thought I was going to finish second, but I'm going to share my screen and we'll just talk about it a little bit. But mostly not because oh great look what happened, but some of the stuff we discussed while we were on air, and we basically did. I did exactly sort of what I was saying. I thought that the idea of playing LeBron or AD was really good. I thought LeBron could treat this literally like it's a nationally televised game against Luka. After winning the MVP of the other in-season tournament, maybe they get that extra little gear from LeBron, and they certainly did. He played a million minutes. He was there. He led a big comeback. They also could have gone into overtime. That would have been really huge for me because LeBron probably gets another 10 there. But that, pretty typical with the Luka. Well, I mean, I guess Luka was even a little lower owned because people were afraid of the value. Reeves, Exum, and then I made the Prince and Strother I thought were pretty straightforward. But the two things were Metu was originally Daniel Tice, and Desonmu was the guy I took a shot on, and it didn't pan out. But look, he got all the minutes. He ended up playing I think he played like 33, 34 minutes, maybe even more, and it looked like it certainly had some hope. The Metu, the second I saw Metu, which was only 2 minutes before that they announced that he was starting, basically.
Yeah, I missed that.
Or I think it was maybe it was 5 minutes before or something like that. But I didn't get the alert, so I just checked. I had my alarm set. Thank goodness, because I played Metu instead of Tice. But it was a thing where when there's no value, and like we talked about even on the air, like if we play Tice, we might get some news later on that something else is happening. And Metu starting was that piece of news. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it does just, again, speak to the ability for late swap making a difference in NBA. Not that it was like a huge performance by Metu. It almost was. I mean, look, for a while there, like he was really going to get it going at the end of the first half. But I felt very good about the process. I only played one lineup in the 555. I played one in the 88, and that was pretty much all my lineups. And it could have gotten there. Sonmu misses a runner at the buzzer, which could have gotten me there. But the real thing was taking Metu out with 4.5 minutes to go really hurt because I would have passed you to Cal. And the worst I could have finished was third. And I also would have had a chance for Metu to score 6.5 more fantasy points, which would have put me ahead of Wilson, who had Kuminga, who went crazy at the very end. And so it was a real chance at second. I don't think I was going to get to first ever after we saw the FJ Bourne just shooting up. But it was a nice run, and I liked the lineup build, and I thought that it was basically what I wanted to do all day. I made the uncomfortable Desonmu play. Yes, I could have done something else and probably gotten a few more fantasy points. But overall, I thought the process was good, and it was one of the first days in a while where I felt really good about what I was doing.
He's been doing really well. The FJ Bourne.
He's really good. Yeah.
He's been doing well. And Wilson's, obviously he's.
I mean, all the guys though around. You look at them. I mean, I know they don't show all the parentheses, but those are all max entry guys. That's what
I was going to say. I was going to say like, when you got passed by, you almost caught you to count 9. You almost caught you to count 10. There's a difference.
Yeah, exactly. But even Wilson played at max enter. So did FJ Bourne.
Yeah, that's kind of like a deception. They should put Wilson parentheses 1 or something.
I don't know why sometimes it doesn't show up like that. I mean, anyway.
Yeah. So just to compare, by the way, how decisions could make a totally different looking result. So again, I went the Galaxy.
Let me take my share off. They showed 9 when you did that. Let me just
the Galaxy Brain route, which I can't.
That was 9 you were sharing by accident.
So I went to Galaxy Brain route that we talked about live, and I had Davis instead of LeBron, and I went with the Hardy, Tice, Norm Powell combination instead of the Reeves, Metu, Prince combination, and that's what that amounts to about 60 points. So that's how that happened. But Exum did really, really well, and Luka did really well, and overtime would have been a fun sweat.
Yeah, it would have been nice. It was nice, but as we were talking about before the show shoots, maybe a little springboard to tonight's big $250K for first.
A couple of announcements. Okay, first of all, just one content announcement again, which I mentioned yesterday, but I'm going to mention it again. As you guys know, I have a great affinity for the I won't say fringe sports, for the the less appreciated sports. And soccer, I've been putting a lot of time into. And I'm getting somebody on tomorrow from RotoWire, Jack Burkhardt, who's super, super smart. And talk to him about. I'm going to talk to him about Soccer DFS. Talk to him about RotoWire. Talk to him about the ways you can use that site and all this stuff. And we're gonna have him on. That should be fun.
Awesome.
This weekend. Okay, so again, we're gonna do an NFL preview after this. So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do the Sunday slate first. Okay, we're gonna do that. Tomorrow we'll do like a showdown slate for tomorrow at some point, and then on Friday we're gonna preview the Saturday slate. And the Saturday is a pretty nice little 3-gamer. So I've already put projections up for all of those slates. And shout out to Scans and the back end team here. I do nothing but like berate and get frustrated. And so the 5% of the time that everything works perfectly, I have to shout them out. Like every projection went up to the site, every projection went over to SaberSim, and it's very, very difficult on the back end to make all that work right. And so they did a really, really good job of that. So for you guys, you could access all of that stuff on QDFS right now. They're going to change, obviously, but we have separate different things for a Saturday slate, showdown slate, and whatever. And then on Saturday, I'm probably going to play showdown for all those individual games too. So lots of football this weekend. Lots of we have the NBA 250K tonight. I'm going to go live tomorrow for sure. I just have a hankering that I feel like we should go live tonight. But what I'll do this, I'll say this: if someone I know is deep, I'll go live. How about that? That I can promise. But tomorrow,
I'll join along with you too. Like I think I'll be around tonight. So I should.
Vincent Sheets was supposed to be out tonight and tomorrow, but tonight's been probably canceled, so I can't really commit to the late night both nights. So
Gotcha.
we'll see how. But listen, if any of us is deep in that thing with 250,000 for first, I'll find a way to make time. Now the good thing is that the last game tonight is at only 9 p.m. So that's going to be wrapping. It's going to be wrapping up, and there are 2 games there, and so those are the announcements I get for this week. This is also the last weekend of MMA for the year. So there's going to be, again, same content. I'm going to be breaking up the DFS part into 2 parts, and the betting part as usual. We're going to get everything done, and I guess that's the end of the announcements.
Nice. All right. Well, let's get it cooking. Let's start it off. What do you got? New Orleans and Washington. Should be a fun weekend. It's crazy because everybody, my family is all like, people are taking the rest of the year off. There's people like just vacationing and talking about things, and I'm like, well, this is the fun time. There's all the sports are going on.
Yeah, we have to worry about how much to play Easton Stick and Showdown. I mean, like
exactly. All right, what do we got here? So let's see. The first one up, New Orleans, Washington. She's started.
Well, before we even get into it, I mean, I'll say again. I mean, it looks like another day where there's nothing good under 5K. At least at this early juncture. I mean, so obviously some need to action could like show up later, but looks like another day of tight pricing. It's listen, it's definitely challenging, which obviously makes it good. But doesn't mean it's not challenging. But if you win the 250K, you definitely deserve it. Let's put it that way.
Yep.
All right. So New Orleans, Washington. Wow. What is this? Okay. This is not something you see every day. I currently have Jonas Valanciunas as the best point per dollar play on the slate. I didn't even know what I was going to look for when I opened up my sheet here, and that's what I'm seeing. And then I get Brandon Ingram at 7,800, maybe top 5. And then it doesn't take me that far down to get to Herb Jones, C.J. McCollum, and Zion Williamson. So I guess the combination of it being a Washington matchup, plus that it's not exactly the biggest slate in the world, I guess. All these guys look really, really good. On the other side of this, I'm not really seeing too much, but if I did play a couple of these New Orleans guys, I probably want to run it back. But as usual, Gafford, because he's a center, is looking pretty good. I don't really see much else. You like anything? You like these Pelicans as much as they're looking? I mean, what do you think?
Just something to keep an eye on is Zion has a little bit of an ankle sprain, and if he misses, that could be really huge for the slate. Such a great spot for New Orleans. So I like the idea of getting exposure to one of the 4, the Valanciunas, Ingram, Zion, McCollum. We've seen Valanciunas at times, I don't want to say get played off the court, but he doesn't always like thrive in all the up-tempo matchups. And then other times when he's played in them, he absolutely smashes. So it's kind of hard to judge that. I think if I had to rank them now, I would rank them Brandon Ingram 1, Zion 2, Valanciunas 3, McCollum 4, Herb Jones 5. But Herb Jones might shoot way up the list for me because, like you said, not a lot of value out there. And then just be ready that Trey Murphy is going to start making a bigger and bigger impact as the season goes along. He was coming back from an injury. He's only played a few games back now. You're going to get some mixed results with him. But if there was a matchup he could go nuts in and even just give you 30, which would be great, I think this is a really good one. So I like the idea of making sure to try and prioritize at least one of the Pels, and that's the order I'd have them. We don't know if Gafford's going to play yet for Washington. If Gafford plays, I actually think he's a reasonable play because they just don't have any other size. And as I keep saying, like, and I kind of have to, say, look, I've been pretty good about keeping my, doing exactly what I want to do, even if it's a weird play. But I've missed a couple of Koulibaly games that I wish I would have had because he was one of the cheap guys I could have used. And if Gafford is out, I will go right back to Koulibaly again at 5K. And I think Tyus Jones, as of right now, is the only one who really stands out. But look, if everyone really is to get so excited to play Kuzma at 8,500 against the Celtics and against the Sixers, why aren't they going to play him against New Orleans in a great matchup? So I guess I would say Kuzma would be my third favorite behind, whether it's Gafford, Koulibaly, Tyus Jones, and Kuzma are sort of the main ones I'm considering. But I think this is a very stackable game. There's a lot of good games on the slate, and there's not a lot of value yet. There probably will be. There probably will be some. So we're just going to have to wait and see on that. But I think this is a very interesting game to stack.
Yeah, it's funny. This is becoming really a theme, like of these slates where these 5K or whatever plays are going to be popular, or even the 6K plays are going to be popular just because there's nothing else.
Yeah.
It's going to be really. I'm actually in the background running a Saber Sim build and seeing, and I'll report back once I see what we're getting here. But all right, let's move ahead. Philadelphia, Detroit. Listen, another game where Embiid can score as many fantasy points as they'll let him play for it, I suppose. I actually have him as the second or third best point per dollar play on the slate. So you probably want to try to get him. I don't know what the spread is. It's probably double digits, even though it's on the road. So you have that issue. But he can certainly score 65 in 3 quarters, which he's done, I think, against Detroit before.
Yep.
So I guess I got nothing wrong with that. I mean, you want to play anybody from Detroit? I don't know, Jaden Ivey maybe, Cade Cunningham maybe, Bogdanovich maybe. I don't know. If you like anything from Detroit, I mean, you like anything aside from Embiid from Philly? Do you like Embiid? What do you like here?
I think Asar Thompson is a priority play.
Okay.
We talk about these 5K guys, and like he's active. I mean, look, this Detroit has changed their starting lineup like every day. But assuming Asar Thompson starts again, yes, I want Asar Thompson tonight. He played 33 minutes in the last game they started. He put up 34 and a half. It was against Indiana. I don't think it's like a smash automatic play, but I think he at this moment is a priority play just because we don't have that much value. And I think that if you wanted to play, I'm kind of thinking they may start Wiseman tonight, which is weird because it's not like he can match up with Embiid, but neither can Isaiah Stewart. So I really don't know what they're going to do if they're going to leave Stewart in the starting lineup. I'd like to wait till their starting lineup before I made my final decisions. I too like Embiid and I like Maxey. Just pointing out that they're going to be very hard to get. And if you wanted a sneaky play, it would be Kelly Oubre Jr.
I just ran the sheet. It's so funny. I would love people to try to guess in their head, what the highest owned guy is. This is based on my own projections. There are 2 guys I have over 90% owned, and I'll let you guys, like try to figure that out. And by the end of the slate, I will tell you who that is.
Can I ask though, have we run into them yet?
I'm not going to say one way or the other.
Okay. No hits.
Okay, so moving on, Atlanta and Toronto. All right, so you have Toronto, who plays usually kind of slow, but Atlanta just, one of the Harlem Globetrotters teams of this year. So I imagine that Toronto is going to look pretty decent on the sheets. And yeah, I have OG Anunoby at 5,800. I have him like the 5th best overall point per dollar play. And then I have Scotty Barnes also at 86.
Finally, he shows up for people.
What's that?
The first time, like all year, he keeps putting up 50s and 60s, and never ever does he project well. And finally, he's starting to look like he deserves.
Oh, Scotty Barnes.
Yeah.
And then Dennis Schroeder at 6K. He's showing up as, again, like it's weird. Like what's good nowadays? Like he's showing up with a 31-point projection puts him in like the top 10 overall. And then there's Siakam and Podol. So I guess this Atlanta matchup just makes all these guys just really, really appealing. So, yeah, I mean, play all those Toronto guys. Atlanta, I'm not really getting too much of. Obviously, Trae Young, he's probable, so that's fine. I wonder if – no, I can't do it again. I got away with it last time, but 6,800 Bogdan coming off the bench, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I can – I think that 56, I think I should take that and run. You know, I don't think
the 40 real-life point game where he made 10 threes.
I'll take that. Thank you very much, and we'll move on. But that's pretty much what I have here.
I'll tell you, so on the Atlanta side, DeAndre Hunter is questionable. If anything happens with that, that is going to shift some things. It's not going to make all the difference, though, at these current prices. Like Sadiq Bey will look like a good play, and again, your guy Bogdanovich is going to look like a better play than he does right now. But I don't really find anything that I love about Atlanta. As always, you could play the roulette with the centers, Capella, Okongwu. I think both of them are totally decent plays. I don't really have a love for either of them. On the other side, I would rank it OG 1. Oh, sorry, I would rank it Schroeder 1. I'll take a little revenge narrative against Atlanta. First of all, Schroeder is a vengeful guy. Atlanta did cut him loose after they sort of gave up on him. I think he's got a beef with Trae Young, which may lead to him just guarding people, or maybe it leads to like what I predicted last night. Chiefs, how about that? That was a pretty good call, right? I said I just see Draymond in Nurkic getting into it and getting ejected, and Draymond did. That's exactly what happened.
Dude, there's something wrong with that guy.
There is something going on with him. It's a little nuts. But I think that you can start off again at first look. I think that just the idea of playing one of the five main pieces. I think Schroeder and Anunoby, because they're value savers along with Podol, make a lot of sense. But you want ceiling, you go for Scotty Barnes and then Siakam, and then you want the super value, and that's Gary Trent. So there's probably going to be a Toronto player on most of my lineups tonight, if not all of them, at least one. And I think you could certainly play two of them together and not worry in such a great matchup as it is against Atlanta. So I like that. I like this Schroeder. I wish the game was in Atlanta. I think Schroeder a little more vengeful there maybe. But early on, I really like the Toronto side of this. So, and I don't think that's going to change no matter what happens later today. All right, Charlotte and Miami again.
Yeah, they play. They seem to play quite a bit, huh?
Everybody's doing the playing the same teams back to back type of deal this couple weeks. It's that part of the season.
I was seeing some Caleb Martin, maybe. Hold on, let me take.
You went nuts the other night.
Oh, yeah, right. So I have Terry Rozier.
I didn't go nuts. You just had a good game. Sorry.
That's fine. So Terry Rozier, 8,500. Looks like the best guy in Charlotte. It doesn't look like that great anyway. Caleb Martin, 6,400. I have him only 10% owned so far, Caleb Martin.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like he rates that great. But those are like the only guys. I have Butler under 9K. That's always reasonable. Then I have the next one, PJ Washington, maybe. Those are my, and then Kevin Love. Those are my top guys from this game. But overall, like I don't really have too much interest in the game. You know, I prefer the New Orleans guys and the Toronto guys to pretty much anything.
Yeah, it's interesting because I mean the game the other night, like it was more of a FanDuel of a stack for me, but I was pretty heavily into it, and Rozier just was phenomenal. He put up 60. I don't have any problem with going back to Rozier tonight. Nick Richards, after letting everyone down, I think it's probably the right thing to go right back to him. Unfortunately, I don't usually like to do that same matchup, and I've watched Orlando Robinson just like nobody get anything off of him all season long. Every time it's almost like they didn't lose Bam. It's almost like the same thing. None of the centers seem to really perform against him quite well enough. So I still have Richards on my list right now. I have Rozier on my list. None of them as priorities, but I'm definitely open to both of them. And just probably worth noting, like Caleb Martin has been great lately anyway. He's put up 49, 33, and 39, and with the lineup currently constructed, assuming that Josh Richardson is in fact not playing again. Even if he does, I still think Caleb Martin is a strong enough play. And remember, he used to play for Charlotte. His twin brother played for Charlotte with him there. I'm just looking for little extra things, but you don't even really need an extra one. He's been putting up the numbers, and I think we give him the benefit of the doubt at the moment. The weird one is that at the beginning of every day, Kevin Love looks like a great play. Then he doesn't, and then he gets there. So I'm just going to say when Kevin Love looks like a terrible play later today, maybe get a little bit of exposure at 5,200. Another one of those 5,200 guys I'm considering. But yeah, in terms of priorities, it's probably I guess Jimmy Butler would be fine. Butler or Martin, I think, would be my two main guys, and I don't mind Rozier on the other side.
Wow, this is pretty weird. So it's early projections, whatever. I guess because of their questionable, I don't have projections for either LeBron or AD tonight.
Yeah, I think that the consensus is that they're going to sit.
Oh, okay.
Or I think let me not the consensus. I think there's a lot of people who think that they're going to sit.
Yeah. So these projections are pretty off. I should say that. The only reason I say that is if I'm not projecting those guys in, then these other guys should be.
Yeah, and I'll point out that Vegas has that game as a 2-point spread, which.
Well, I mean, San Antonio's lost 100
in a row. Yeah, so you can pretty sure bet that at least one of them is sitting. I think, and especially like they played a lot of minutes. That was a very high intensity game last night. I think it's a pretty good bet that they sit.
So we'll have to watch for that. But and that, I think it's going to be pretty self-explanatory what happens there.
Yeah,
whatever it is. But I will say that right now what is it? Fourth highest point per dollar play on the slate for me is Victor Wembanyama. Yeah, sounds good to me. I don't know. If AD plays, be fine by me. If he doesn't play, fine by me. So I like Wembanyama a lot tonight.
Yeah, I mean the Lakers are going to be where you start your slate if those guys are out, and
yep.
With them getting no projections and certainly both listed as doubtful right now. Are they listed? They're not official. It's not official. It depends. Well, I haven't dug in far enough. I'll tell you what. DraftKings certainly expected them to be out because they raised everybody's price, even the fringy guys who weren't playing. Like Christian Wood went from 3,800 to 5,000. They were ready for this one.
Okay.
So you're going to end up with a very weird situation, possibly. And I'm just going to pretend, as of right now, that they're both out. I wouldn't be shocked if one of them plays. I think it would be AD if it was one of them. But this does seem like a spot you want to rest somebody. Okay, so Jackson Hayes is going to look like a great play. I don't know that he'd start. He might. That's the Christian Wood, Jackson Hayes. We really just need to know who's starting, and then we may not know until 8 Eastern. And if LeBron and those guys are out and we don't have a Lakers starting lineup, it's going to make an argument for a lot of the stuff we just talked about to maybe to pass some of it by. You think this game will stay close anyway, so that makes Austin Reeves and D'Angelo Russell terrific plays along with Rui because they'll be the ones who carry the offense the most. Taurean Prince will get the minutes he can handle, but probably is not as good of a play because you're not going to run your offense through him, although he can do enough. But you're probably going to end up looking like you want Lakers. Probably at least 2 on each team. I just don't know what to do until we have some idea of who's starting or who's going to play tonight. And it's just really hard to guess right now. And then if one of AD or LeBron plays, we have to rerun everything. So I don't really know exactly what to do at the moment. I just know that we're probably going to be playing at least 2 Lakers in a good portion of lineups. And if you look at Saber Sim, who does have LeBron and AD out, they have the top out of the top 4, they have Valanciunas third. They have Jackson Hayes as the best point per dollar play on the slate. D'Angelo Russell second, and Rui fourth. And I also think that Austin Reeves, even off of a big game, is a tremendous one as well. So
Saberson has them both listed as doubtful, and yet they don't even have a designation on the injury report yet.
It's crazy. But I actually I built last night just while I was sweating the last game. And I was just assuming, I don't think these guys are playing tomorrow. And it was before there was any speculation of it, but that was just my personal guess that they weren't going to play. So yeah, and then you get a nice little game stack here because on the other side, I love Wembanyama as you guys all know, but I also think it's a nice matchup for Sohan and his price is reasonable. It's not like my favorite play on big slates because he's often going to have games. He's just young. He's going to have games where he just doesn't get there. But Vassell, Keldon Johnson, all of these guys make a lot of sense. So I think the Lakers and and Spurs are two terrific. It's like a terrific stack to me tonight. So I'm very in on this game. It just depends on what happens with LeBron and AD.
Yeah.
Even if they both play, I still think Wembanyama is a really good play. So just saying that. And we still can play him at power forward probably for like another day or two because they're starting him at center now. But remember, people should notice like if you track Wembanyama's stuff, most of it was with Zach Collins starting alongside of him at center. Since Zach Collins has not been starting alongside him at center, he's had 20 and 18 rebounds in those 2 games. That's a pretty strong sign that that's going to continue. So I am going to be very heavily into Wembanyama tonight. Okay. Next up, what do you have? The indie game? The new highest total in the history of the NBA, surpassing only this game.
What is this one? 260?
259.
It's amazing.
It was 257 the other time they played, and they went well under. But I think they might go over this one.
Yeah. Anyway, whether Halliburton and or Giannis are good plays is in part going to depend on LeBron and AD, right? I mean,
right.
It depends on what value opens up from that Laker game. And by the way, my trivia question about who's going to be the highest owned, I hate to say this, but it was predicated on the fact that those guys were not projected to be like great values. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a useless, not useless exercise, but I think it's still a decent exercise for you to tell me again who would be the highest owned if LeBron and AD were both in. That would be.
Oh, if they were both in.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh my God.
Anyway,
I'll figure that one out by the end of the show.
Anyway, so I guess that's my entire analysis is if you get value of the Lakers, then Giannis is going to be pretty accessible. But then again, as will Embiid, you know. So can you play both of them? No, I don't think so. Because even the Laker value opens up. It's not like 3K guys, you know. But if you want to listen, I have no problem with Giannis over Embiid to save 400. They're both going to be either low owned or high owned, depending on whether the Laker value shows up, I suppose. I don't have anybody else in this game though. Actually, you know what? Miles Turner at 7,300, he rates pretty well. I don't know anything else.
Look, I will definitely play 3 big lineups tonight. I'm definitely going to have a Tyrese Halliburton and Giannis lineup. I also don't think it's a bad idea to get some Dame exposure. This is just the nuts environment. You have the fastest team in the history of the NBA and the 3rd fastest team of the season. They're going to play fast. They tend to play close games. Maybe Milwaukee gets revenge here. I just don't think that they've been playing well enough, Milwaukee, to just beat the hell out of anybody. And Indy's really good. I like Turner. I like Halliburton. I like Giannis. To some extent, I like Mathurin in this game. And then I also like Lillard. I obviously can't play all those guys, but some mix of that sounds pretty good to me. It's pretty interesting. You have the highest total in NBA history and no one projected to be double-digit owned. It's kind of wild.
But it's been that way with these Indiana games, you know?
Well, usually Halliburton ends up getting owned.
I'll tell you who was my hero the other night was the Mathurin.
Yeah, Mathurin went nuts the other night.
Yeah,
it was out of the blue too. Like it was
the Mathurin, I think Bogdan pairing.
Yeah, it is rough though because like you're getting a lot. It's expensive to get Halliburton here, like 11-1. It's a great matchup. It's just maybe instead of that, maybe you play like Miles Turner and Buddy Hield gets hot or something like that, and you run it back with Giannis or something like that. It's getting to the point where it's a great matchup, though. I do think I have to have one Halliburton Giannis lineup just to feel okay. But we'll see. There's a lot of news left still to
go. So not to bury the lead here, but I just reran everything with the SaberSim projections, like with the Laker value in, and not surprisingly, the top 3 owned guys, all at 100% ownership, by the way, would be the aforementioned Jackson Hayes. The sort of aforementioned Rui Hachimura.
Yeah.
And
D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah.
Yep. Not surprised.
Yep.
All right. So let's move along to Memphis and Houston.
Okay. So again, depends on what you get to here, but I get Tari Eason showing up a little bit.
He went nuts the other night.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
At 4,700, he shows up in some builds. What else here? I don't really get into much of anything. No Memphis, really no Houston, not much.
I don't understand why Tari Eason's going to be low. Like, if he's really going to be low owned, I don't really understand why. I get it. Like, I know that it feels chasey, but like we 4,700. We just don't have other players that we can fill that in with, except for the Lakers guys. You know what I mean? So I'm going to put Tari Eason as definitely like in contention to be a priority play potentially, just because we need value and he at least has a ceiling. He played a season high of minutes the other night, put up 42 fantasy points. Not saying he's going to do that again. But I do like him here. And also, I think there's always, there's a little bit of blowout risk, which would probably go mostly, well, it probably would go his way depending on what type of blowout it was. If it was like a 20-point game, he probably stays on the court. If it's 30, he's probably off the court. But Amin Thompson, Asar's brother, is probably going to come back soon.
Oh, there you go.
I don't know what they're going to do with him. I don't know how many minutes they're going to give him. That could hurt the Easton thing. Oh, he came back the other night. He did play 10 minutes. It just could hurt. It could end up hurting some of these other guys a little bit. But as of right now, like, this is definitely the least interesting game to me on the slate. I don't really have any other plays. It's going to be slow. Of course, Şengün is probably going to smash, or very, very possibly smashes. I just don't love anything enough to get there as a priority, with the exception of potentially Easton's value.
All
right.
Yeah. Knicks Utah is kind of weird. Oh, not weird. So I'm getting a couple of guys from here. Just seems like kind of random, but I'm getting like in my most recent Saberson build that actually has the Laker value. Like the three Laker guys are the top guys, and then the next one is a couple of Pelicans. Then I'm getting Colin Sexton. At a pretty big ownership. Has he been hot recently? Oh, Clarkson is out. Okay. I guess that matters. One thing that is interesting, though, to note is that Lauri Markkanen was upgraded to questionable. So I presume that – I don't presume, but I think it's likely that he plays.
Collins and Kessler look like they might play as well.
Yeah, so not that any of these guys look that great anyway, but anyway. So Sexton is the one guy I see, and Keontae George is another one that's showing up for me. Getting a little bit of Jalen Brunson also. Maybe a couple of shares of RJ Barrett, but this whole game is very, very low tier.
Yeah, I think that Randall makes some sense, but again, just other guys I probably am going to want to go with. It really depends to me of what I'm going to do with New York. If Quickly plays, if Quickly doesn't play, I'll play DiVincenzo or Hart, probably Hart. And it's simple as that. But I don't know if we're going to have that information. And I don't mind the idea. Look, we're looking for value, like additional value to what might be really, really chalky, questionable value. If we're going to play questionable, speaking of questionable, like Jericho Sims is going to play minutes. He's, I don't know why we would just cross Jericho Sims and Isaiah Hartenstein out of our lives, because Isaiah Hartenstein's price went up by 300 and Jericho Sims' price went up by 8. But
right,
I think both Sims and Hartenstein are my favorite plays in this game right now. But it's just because I'm looking for value.
I think you're supposed to go right back to Hartenstein, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And not Sims. I think that they don't mind starting. So like you said, Thibodeau's kind of like that purist, whatever. Hey, I like Hartenstein off the bench. Just keep him off the bench.
Yep.
Start Sims, play him 18 minutes or whatever, and then, whatever.
Yep, absolutely. I think that's fair. I don't mind the Sims thing, though, just because I need the extra value. He's forward eligible, so I'll take some shots with him if he does, in fact, start again. Which, again, we won't know until way later on, and then we can even.
Another guy, by the way, with these new builds that is showing up, and again, I think it's really interesting to see how the price affects this. So Sexton is 5,200. He's getting in some stuff. And a guy from that San Antonio game, like Jeremy Sohan's getting into some stuff now. Something about this 5,400 price.
Yeah, Sohan. I think Sohan was all like, I thought I was just going into this slate assuming that he'd be one of the 25-30% guys.
Okay.
I think he's going to be no matter what. Well, not no matter what. If there's more value, maybe he won't be. All right. So this is another one. These are really tough games because, so they're going to play Bradley Beal, which is really weird on a back-to-back. Sorry, you started off, Chief. I changed the pattern. Sorry about that. I just was
okay. I mean, I don't have much. Yeah, I don't think Bradley Beal plays.
They announced though already that he's probable.
Okay, well,
Weird.
In either case, I don't know if I have a share of anybody from this whole game, so that's really all I have. I think the slate's going to be decided before this, with the one exception of somebody from that Nick Utah game. You know what I mean? One of those Utah guys I mentioned, maybe. But again, even if Lowry plays, then maybe even those guys aren't so great. Maybe we'll be sweating Hartenstein, or something like that. I don't see much from the Brooklyn Phoenix game that's really appealing to me, though.
Yeah, because they're misprojecting. I don't. You're going to tell me Durant's not going to play the first end of a back-to-back against Golden State, but he's going to play the second again against Brooklyn. Oddly enough, two of his former teams. I don't see why he would play tonight and didn't play last night. That makes absolutely zero sense if Bradley Beal is in fact probable. If Bradley Beal was to play one of the games and not the other, you would think they would let Bradley Beal play the second game, not the first game, and Kevin Durant would play the first game. So I don't really know what to do with the situation. I am currently going to pretend the same thing. And by the way, for what it's worth, SaberSim has Kevin Durant as doubtful. No other site does right now. I agree with SaberSim that he should be considered doubtful. It's an ankle injury. This is not an illness thing. He's not necessarily. I don't think it's impossible that he plays, but I don't have any idea why would we be projecting him to play. It just doesn't make any sense in any way to me. So I'm going to go right back to our good old friend Chimezie Metu for value.
Why not?
4,200. I mean, look. You tell me Chimezie Metu starting. By the way, he looks pretty good. He's kind of active out there. He does some things. Got off to a slow start, but Metu, and then the other one that's going to be like, I mean, he just tore up the slate last night. Nobody played him, so he didn't end up on the winners or anything. But I mean, Jordan Goodwin, my goodness, he was terrific last night. He put up 37. Watching him in real life too, definitely passed the eye test. He's the reason why Metu, they played 3-guard lineups at the end and took Metu out. And you have another type situation where you're playing a team that plays basically 3 guards all the time. I can sign myself up for it, and then I could talk myself into if I wanted to. It's not even revenge that they didn't believe in him, but Mikal Bridges was a big thing on the Phoenix Suns. So maybe there's a little something there. But the main thing is going to be the Metu play if there's no KD, and I think he will end up being extremely popular if that's the case. But if we don't know, we won't know. So kind of interesting. Weird also that the NBA didn't put any games on TV tonight. There must be like a college football game or something. I don't know what the hell's happening, but it's very strange. A Wednesday where there's no games on ESPN. I don't remember ever seeing that in recent times. So just thought I'd throw that out there. And there's no games on TNT tomorrow either. It's like they're just deciding not to pay attention to basketball after all the attention from the stuff. But I've got some priorities. So look, I like that we're going to use the Lakers stuff. I like the Toronto side of things, especially OG. I actually like all of them. OG Schroeder are the cheap ones, Siakam and Barnes at the high end, Trent at the very low end, Poeltl in the middle. I still like Asar Thompson, although I started to like it less as I went through the slate. Wemby on the other side of the Lakers. Definitely going to get some exposure to the Indy-Milwaukee game. It's tricky to figure out how. I like the Sexton thing. I think THT would be a sneaky play. Sims or Hartenstein, Metu. Those are the value pieces to use to spend up for whether it's Embiid, whether it's maybe a Rozier and Butler on the other side. I think that's a reasonable thing to do, or Rozier and Martin. And then you also have you could always do the Giannis and Halliburton thing. So I'm just sort of, figuring out what I want to do today, but that's sort of a quick look at what I've gathered so far. But we're definitely going to hear some news later today that's going to make everything different. Anything you want to add, Sheets, before we get out of here?
No, we're good. We're going to do an NBA preview, I guess.
To the old NFL?
Yep. I mean, NFL. We'll do it. We're going to just do Sunday, right?
We'll do Sunday.
Perfect. Okay.
All right. Good luck to everybody.